Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Transformation Leaders Podcast. I'm David Soden, joined today by my co-host, Shawn Ennis. And today, Shawn has prepared a presentation for you guys. So if you guys are listening and you're an entrepreneur, Shawn's got a really cool announcement and something to talk about. So Shawn, real quick, I guess I'll just turn it over to you, and then you can get us started on this special announcement for everybody.
Absolutely. So if any of you have been following me on LinkedIn, you've been seeing that I've been doing a lot of go-to-market for a company called Rapix. Now, in that process, there's a lot of work, whether it be creating content, whether it be creating a website or finding people to talk to, doing pitches. There's quite a bit of work when it comes down to go-to-market. So what I have done is I've created a software that helps the go-to-market. So what I wanted to do today is kind of walk people through what my journey has been in being a solo founder, and talk about some of the challenges and talk about what I have learned along this route. So the idea here is DIY is what the AI revolution is going to be about now. I make the point that people are becoming more and more YouTube certified, fixing things around their house because they can't get help to do that work. Well, it's very much becoming the same when it comes down to doing any kind of startup now. The field that I have seen and experienced is that a lot of money is being pumped into the unicorns at this point, the OpenAI and Anthropics of the world, and it's not leaving a lot of money available for the smaller startups that people are wanting to build. And it's never been a better time to build. I talk about this all the time because of the technology, because of the opportunities that we all have with social media, and the pain that people have are very transparent at this point, right? So a lot of people are very verbal about the issues that they're having and the challenges they're having in the industries that they're in. So without further ado, I wanted to kind of walk through some of the things that I've been doing, and hopefully our audience here in the transformation space is going to be interested in seeing a practical guide of getting started and going from, hey, I have an idea, to I have an idea that is proven in the marketplace and is ready for investment. So let's walk through that. So a lot of my experience has been as a serial entrepreneur is really having this kind of problem. So you need to find a co-founder because there's just so much work to be done. You can't have a single person do it anymore. You got to raise money. You got to figure out some way to fund the amount of time that you need to get to market. And then the last is you need to hire a team, because the bigger team you have, the faster you'll be able to get to market. As well as it also is the more money that you need. So this has not been a sustainable situation for a very long time. A lot of people avoided going to market with ideas simply because of this issue. Now, AI now provides us this new path, and this new path is the solar entrepreneur backed up by AI. So that's kind of the problem and the solution that I'm seeing in the marketplace. Now, there's been a lot of change in productivity. We talked about this recently. The head of Y Combinator talked about how Claude Code is making him 90 times, not 90%, 90x, right? 9,000 times more productive. This means that while you can make solutions faster, you still have this issue of nobody has solved the problem of how do we make our sales and marketing teams more productive, right? So here's a simple fact. This is basic economics, everybody. If what you make is 90 times faster and more efficient to make, and you're not selling any more of it, guess what happens? Right? It's either going to get 90 times cheaper, or it's going to mean that the people who are doing the coding and engineering are going to lose their jobs. And that's what we're seeing right now in the Meta, the Oracle, the Block, the Amazon. Basically, most companies are laying off the people who do this 90x. So I think there is a huge market opportunity to address not the Claude code, but the problem that Claude code creates for all of us. So that's kind of where I come from. This concept dovetails in to the end of where you're going to be a solo founder. So the first thing that I tell people, and I get this call all the time, I am very plugged in with a lot of our founders out there, and they say, well, Shawn, how do we do it? Well, here is me trying to explain how I did it and help people get there. First and foremost, you need to document your idea. If it's not down in digital ink, number one is you don't have the ability to share it with AI or share it with other people to make sure that the problem, the solution, the market is all what you think it is. You have these immeasurable capabilities now with AI, whether it be Perplexity, whether it be Grok, whether it be Claude or Meta or whatever. They have the capability to analyze what your thoughts are from a mix of experts to give you a really high quality feedback, right? And that's what you need to understand whether or not this is worth your time or not. David, does that make sense? I know you and I both do this, but sometimes, going back to basics, make sure people understand this is what needs to be done.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for those listening that may still be confused, if you are, think about how it used to be in the late 1990s. The internet was just starting to become all of the rage. People started thinking about getting a website, and this problem has persisted since the dawn of the internet all the way up until now. If you build it and nobody knows it's there and nobody finds it because your SEO just doesn't work or whatever the case may be, then nobody's going to be able to adopt it. You're going to get no uptake. And this is essentially what Shawn's talking about. So this is a little bit and completely different, but yet all the same at the same time, because now we're talking about building software and he's talking about finance and teams and things of that nature. But it's still if you boil it down to its basics, it's still the root problem where you've got something, you're building it at scale, super, super fast, maybe one idea, multiple ideas. But if you have nobody using it, no uptake, nobody buying it, then this is kind of the problem. And I just saw, Shawn, in my feed this morning, I was searching and trying to bring it up, but there was a article, and it's out there today from Decrypt on Yahoo Finance, talking about since the year 2000 that the fear that everybody has feared is coming true. And I'm looking at the graph that's here, and it's talking about the developer as industry developers as a whole, they're being let go, but the amount of jobs that are coming in are not going up because AI is taking that, but the developers are going down. So it is everything that you're talking about here. And there's actually now a financial report and a report out there by Polymarket who has depicted this graph. So everybody listening, if you're in leadership, whether it's internally or a solopreneur, this is going to impact everybody at every level.
Absolutely. And so I always recommend people, even if you're not a developer, get a GitHub account, right? Have some place where you can store your ideas and in a place that AI is really easily able to consume them, right? So that's what I do. That's what I recommend.
Hey, Shawn, can I add something to that idea?
Please.
So when Shawn's talking about adding this to GitHub, especially for those of you listening and are going to go try this, just let you know that you might not want to put your great ideas up there for people to get a public repo to see. And a repo is just a repository. It's just a space to put an idea by category. But just know that you can put security on that. You can lock it down, called private, so only you and your account has it, versus something public. So I just wanted to make that clear that if you do that route, that different use case might warrant the security of making it private versus public.
And at the end of this, I want to share a QR code of a white paper that walks you through all of these with those kind of points, David. So absolutely. So the second part of this is, to me, the fun part. The fun part is actually building stuff, right? Taking your idea and being able to see it, understanding what the product does, should do. All of this is in the document area. But when you start building the product, and guess what? You may have to go back to one after you do number two. I wish this was a straight line, but it's not. Cloud Code has been exceptional when it comes down to building things. But I would caution anybody, the only way to make Cloud Code do what you want the first time is to put handcuffs on it. And you do that by fully documenting your idea. The better documentation you have, the more accurate the AI will be. People talk about AI slop. Well, AI slop is caused by people who go in there and say, just give me something, right? Now, David, we have a long storied history working with outsourced resources. And if you do not tell them specifically what you want, what do you end up with, David?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Correct. So this should not be a new concept out there for people who listen to this channel. Now, once you have something to be able to show, you could create simulators, you could create test engines and test harnesses. Claude does a great job of that. But you will have to have something to show people. People do not buy ideas anymore. They buy productivity gain, right? Productivity as a service is what people are interested in now, not really cool ideas. So keep that in mind, because then you're going to want to do what the hardest thing is to reach out to customers. Earn their trust, earn their interest, because as long as you understand the problem really well and you can convey very simply what the solution is, you'll be able to do that. And again, this is where AI comes in as well. It can help hyper-personalize the conversations that you have with potential customers and partners and investors, so that you can earn that trust quicker. Then being able to ground what you're trying to do within the market. All of this is possible with the help of AI. What AI cannot give you is your ability to talk to a customer about their problems and actually understanding the problem, right? So I want to be clear. Anybody who wants to create something and they don't know what they want to create or why they want to create it, this is not going to help you. But if you know a problem and you know the impact of that problem and people want and are willing to pay money to solve it, this is a good path forward. And then once you have a customer, that's the most important thing. You are 99% there once you have somebody who is willing to pay you to solve their problem. And that this is where a lot of founders get lost. And in the white paper that I'm going to share with you, I talk about where I got lost in the past on this. You know, customer is the only thing you need to worry about. Making sure that the outcomes that you promised, you deliver, and you deliver it with as least amount of pain as possible. If you can do that, then you have the most important part of this cycle, which is proof. In this day and age, you are not going to get funding without proof. So right now, a lot of people talk to me, Shawn, how do I get funding? How do I get funding? And I tell them all the same thing. Until you have a customer that is proving to you that their problem has been solved and that they paid money and they are happy with that, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get any measurable amount of funding. Now, proof means, proof means evidence, right? And a lot of people get tripped up on this. Being able to capture all this. Now, I recently posted on LinkedIn about my experience doing go-to-market and capturing my data and showing the evidence of that. And that case study did more for the credibility of what I was trying to bring to market than anything else that I could possibly do. So getting that evidence and showing that evidence is incredibly important. And again, AI can help you with that process. Once you have all your ducks in a row and you're ready to go to market, blasting this out to as many people as possible, you know, then you could start thinking about investment. And so that's what I'm seeing as the roadmap right now. There are a lot of high quality resources available on the market today. And a lot of them are lamenting to me that they're not getting the opportunities that they want. And this is what I'm telling many of them, which is if you have customers, if you know the problems that they're experiencing that are not being fixed by larger providers, talk to them about this kind of opportunity. They can get you really small amounts of money, and it doesn't take much to solve their problem in a 1099 type of arrangement, a contract type of arrangement. And once you have that, then you have everything that you need to start up a company. So I'll pause there. David, does this make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. you have a way for people to get a hold of you on
Yes,
or through this? I thought you said you have a QR code that you wanted to kind of share with people.
absolutely. So the idea here is being able to accelerate, um, and that's really where I've been focusing my time recently. I mean, I certainly have mentioned one of the companies that I'm representing now, and this is my company. So what I'm doing here is helping accelerate people going to market. And Kinetic Tricks is the name of the company, and you could certainly go to the website. But I would also, let me drop this in here. You could go through and read the white paper that shows you step by step on how to do these things. And then once you're ready to take this to market, whatever your idea is, all I ask is to let me know, and I'd happily show you the tools and techniques and software that I use that showed me get 1,600% increase in traffic on LinkedIn. So, that should be pretty amazing, especially seeing that, David, we've been doing this podcast for how long?
I think feels like a year and a half, I think, but
A
it could
year
be.
and a half, 2 years, and to see a 16x bump in traffic has been very, very compelling. And so that's why I wanted to take my idea to market. And I figured today's podcast would be a really great way to show people that, the advice that I give, I actually take myself. So I get this question a lot, Shawn, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And what are the results are? Well, here we go. This is the podcast for you then. I really appreciate the time, David, walking through this today. And hope anybody who has any questions, please reach out.
Yeah, it sounds great. And so now, if you want to get a hold of Shawn or myself, there's other ways of getting a hold of us as well through the Transformation Leaders podcast channel. We do have a website that is available. I'll go ahead and pop that here on the screen for everybody. If you go to that website, you can get to all of our previous and past episodes. We're here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On that particular website is a form that you can fill out. It goes to both Shawn and I. So yet another way to get a hold of Shawn. So there's no reason to not get a hold of him or reach out, because we made it super easy for you. The other thing too is to keep in mind is both of our LinkedIn profiles are available on that website. So you can go out there. I post daily. I have blogs up there. Shawn writes blogs. We're pretty active there on LinkedIn. But again, we're here every Wednesday, and that is all the time that we have for you today. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.